I was asked to comment on standing up for yourself, sticking up for yourself, and when is it appropriate to get defensive versus be soft and gentle? Okay, first let me clarify. I don't think there's any time that's a good time to get defensive. Most people who get defensive, it usually means that they're wrong. It usually means that that the other person has hit a raw nerve. If you, it's not fun to be attacked, but if you know that you're right, okay, if you know that you're right, then you don't need to get defensive and angry. You can stay calm and say, I can appreciate why you feel that way. I can appreciate why you think that. I can understand, perhaps I can understand why you are reacting the way you are, but the bottom line is you're attacking the wrong person. You're shooting the messenger. You're angry at what I've said because you don't want to hear the message, and so you're attacking me. And it's best not to attack the messenger, but deal with it. Deal with the message that's and either agree with it or don't agree with it, but take me out of the equation. I'm just sharing an observation I have about you. So you don't need to get defensive. People who get defensive, it usually means that you're on the money. Because if they are secure in themselves and secure in the position they've taken, then there's no need to get defensive. You just say, I disagree. And it's not a debate. We can agree to disagree, or you can hate me if you want. But this is how I feel, and I'm not afraid to say it, and I'm not ashamed to say it, and this is how I feel. And you can disagree with me if you want, but that doesn't change the fact that this is how I feel. And you getting defensive and angry and trying to shout me down or discredit me or call me names or blame me for things I did last Tuesday that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about now. No, there's never, in my opinion, a reason to get defensive. That's not a way to stick up for yourself. If you want to stick up for yourself, if you want to stand up for yourself, you don't need to get defensive and angry. You don't need to go down to their level. You can rise above the battlefield and stay calm. And as I've said so many times before, you try to validate somebody, even if you're going to disagree with them, especially if you're going to disagree with them. I care about you. I understand your feelings are hurt. I love you. I care about you. I want you in my life. But you're wrong. And here's why I believe you're wrong. Or I can understand why you have perceived it this way, but you have misunderstood, you've misinterpreted, you've misperceived what I said. You haven't given me the benefit of the doubt. You've assumed the worst of me, and you're wrong. That was not my intention to hurt you. Was not my intention to attack you. It was my intention to just tell you something that I thought it might be helpful for you to know. You might be happier if you know this information. Okay, so when is it a good time to be defensive? In my opinion, never. You don't need to be defensive to make your point. You don't need to scream and be angry and call names to make your point. In fact, those who do, in my opinion, you've lost the high ground. To some degree, people are now focusing on the fact that you're attacking them by yelling and screaming and calling them names, and they're no longer remembering the fact that they started it, or they were at fault by what they did. If you're angry at somebody for what they did, try to stay calm and simply point it out calmly. This is what you did. I feel this is wrong. I feel this is inappropriate. I don't feel it was justified of you to behave that way. And I wish you wouldn't do it in the future. But if you are going to do it in the future, I'm not going to be around. That's how you deal with people. That's how you stand up for yourself. You set boundaries. If you're going to be rude and mean to me and you're not going to learn and be more loving, then I don't want to be around you. I don't care who you are, whether you're my mother, my father, my grandmother, my aunt, uncle, sister, brother, my spouse, my partner, whoever you are. If you want to stick up for yourself, that's what you do. You set boundaries. You say, look, I love you, I forgive you, but it's going to be from a distance. I'm not going to be in the same space with you because I made a decision to love myself enough to not want to be in toxic places and not want to be around toxic, hostile people. So the way you stick up for yourself is you set boundaries with people of what's appropriate behavior towards you and what behavior is not appropriate that you will not stand for. And if they continue to behave badly after you've pointed out to them that you don't like it, then you have a choice. You either leave the relationship, You leave the job if it's a hostile, toxic boss. You know, you leave the neighborhood if people are shooting each other. Or somebody upstairs is stomping on the ceiling constantly because they know it gets your goat. And they're not going to stop. They're not nice people. They're sadists. They're angry. They want other people to be as unhappy as they are, and so you leave unless you can neutralize their toxicity in your mind. And that's very, very difficult for most people to do. When someone's like poking a stick at you, it's very difficult to remember that it's a call for love and that you should respond with love. Okay, and most people, when I've said that, say that's ridiculous. When you try to respond with love to someone who's like a narcissist, a toxic narcissist, or that is you're not going to change them. You're not going to transform them. That it doesn't work that way. Well, it could work that way, but for the most part, in the real world, it probably won't work that way. And so if you find that you can transform someone with your love and forgiveness and acceptance and compassion and generosity, that's when, you should exit stage left. So, yeah. So sticking up for yourself, if there's somebody who's bothering you and pestering you and bullying you and you can't neutralize them in your mind and they continue to do what they do, and you can't call the police or have some other people intervene for you to get these people to stop. If you are stuck in a bad, hostile, toxic situation, the best thing to do is go away, move away, even if it's inconvenient. Even if in the short run it costs you money and time and aggravation, in the long run you'll be a lot happier. I see it all the time. People are in toxic workplaces, hostile, narcissistic, toxic bosses. They pile on a bunch of work on them. They fire people and then they give you, you're already overworked, they give you the workload of the person they just fired, and now you're even more overloaded. And they expect you to work 24/7. They expect you not to grouse about it, and they expect you not to break down. And you are either, you need a job, or or if you were to quit, you couldn't get a job that makes as much money or has as good benefits. And that's where the problem comes in, because that's when you have to start balancing out, well, what's worth what? Because if you stick in a toxic, hostile work environment long enough, you will usually break down, go on disability, and and your life is diminished. As opposed to like deciding, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm going to find a different job, and it may not be as much money, and I may have to commute longer. But if it's a work environment where I'm happy and I like the people I'm working with, then that's probably a better way to go. Right? Money is not everything. Money is not going to buy you happiness. Money is not going to buy you peace of mind. For some people, it can buy happiness to some degree. For some people, it can buy peace of mind to some degree. But honestly, yeah, I don't care how happy when you watch TV and the movies and you see that actor Owen Wilson smiling, and he's charming and smiling and laughing, and he looks like he's on the top of the world, except that he's got a major depressive disorder, and a few years ago he tried to kill himself. People will look happy, they will look like they've got it all, and but they don't, because happiness is an inside job. Okay, happiness ultimately has nothing to do with money. Happiness has to do with attitude, with perspective. Obviously, I have rambled and gotten off topic. That's the way it goes. But all I can say is, again, if you to stick up for yourself, you simply stay calm and you make your case. And you don't need to get defensive, and you don't need to turn into a bully yourself. You need to just make your case. And if they don't like it, then either they leave or you leave. Or you find some mediator who can mediate and find some compromise for the two of you. But ultimately, you are the master of your fate. You are the master of your destiny. If people in your life are giving you a hard time, either find a way to neutralize them by trying to be calm, compassionate, loving, and understanding, or go away, and find other friends, other workplaces, other places to live, other situations where you're not going to be stressed by toxic, hostile, negative, sadistic people. I find it best to, not need a lot of friends. I think if you've got a few friends who you can trust, who you feel safe with, who you believe really care about you, that should be enough. And you don't need to party with a billion people to define happiness. Okay. And another thing, if you find yourself doing a lot of drugs and alcohol, most likely you're not just having a good time at a Grateful Dead concert. If you're doing it all the time, most likely you're self-medicating because deep down you're tormented, you're tortured, you're angry, you're depressed, you're anxious. And so you're over-medicating with drugs and alcohol, whether they're even prescribed medications or recreational drugs. Not a good plan. By the way, while I'm rambling, I've just started getting into transcendental meditation, and I actually had my first lesson today, and my first meditation today. And I got to tell you, it could be the placebo effect, but I feel better. I feel better already. I came out of there feeling like much more relaxed, more energized, more optimistic. You might want to look into that.